for this, of course, is that technology doesn't sleep. Technology drives behavior. It doesn't go the other way around. As technologies develop, things happen. This, of course, is Moore's law. This is the number of transistors on a CPU, a computer chip. So there was 100,000 in 1980, 100 million in 2000, and 10 billion in 2016. This is exponential growth. This is the hockey stick. This is everything doubling every 18 months or so. And the point about this is once you start getting to big numbers, things really happen. So a lot of people talk about, oh, it feels like life is speeding up. Well, it is speeding up because the technology is speeding up. Because to go from 100 million to 10 billion in 16 years sounds pretty damn cool, doesn't it? But it doesn't sound cool when you go from 10 billion to 1.2 trillion transistors on a chip in 3 years. This is the latest chip, the most powerful chip, 1.2 trillion transistors. It has 400,000 cores. This thing is incredibly powerful. But that's actually not the fastest thing happening in technology at the moment, because really the fastest thing that's happening is the scale of computational power that is available for people to use. So if I wanted to run a neural network program in 2012, and I could use 1 unit of computational power, 6 years later, because instead of, unlike Moore's law, doubling every 18 months, the scale was doubling every 3.5 months, I could have 300,000 units. So the amount of computational power at our disposal grew 300,000 times in 6 years. We are living actually in an age of the trinity of transformation, where we have a huge increase in data, because we have more and more sensors plugged into everywhere, and we've hardly even started on that road. We have massive increase in computational power, and we have huge advances in our algorithms, particularly deep learning. We are living in the trinity of transformation, and this has consequences. There is a so what of speed. So one of the things that's happened is computer vision. So the ability of a computer to understand the contents of a video or a photo has gone from useless to a utility in just a few years, and is better than human level ability at the moment. Speech recognition has also gone from useless to a utility in just a few years, and some years back now actually surpassed human capabilities, which is why the Amazon Echo came out in 2015. It was because speech recognition got good enough in a very short period of time. So the technology develops, people learn what to do with the technology. This only existed because it could exist. What can exist when you have 1.2 trillion transistors on a chip? The other thing, of course, the other consequence of this is from McKinsey, a couple of years ago now, 49% of all the activities that people are paid to do in the world can be automated by adopting currently demonstrated technology. Not technology of the future, currently demonstrated technology. Kai-Fu Lee, most important AI VC investor in China, wrote a book last year, and he said that AI algorithms will be to many white-collar workers what tractors were to farmhands. Think of that. To many white-collar workers what tractors were to farmhands. Technology dramatically increases the productivity of each worker and shrinks the total number of employees required. We are moving to an AI everywhere world. And the important thing about AI is in this statement. Brynjolfsson and McAfee, both from MIT, both written a number of really good books which you should read, wrote this a couple of years ago, that artificial intelligence, especially machine learning, is the most important general-purpose technology of our era. The critical point here is it's a general-purpose technology. Most technologies are point solutions there to handle a particular problem. A general-purpose technology is the combustion engine. It's electricity. It's the internet. General-purpose technologies pervade everything. They become part and parcel of everything that happens. We are moving into an AI everywhere world. And this is going to have huge impacts on real estate. All change. Because those 49% of tasks that McKinsey talked about were things that are structured, repeatable, predictable. Now, this is not about jobs, this is about tasks. Take every job and split it into the tasks, the activities people do that comprise that job. Anything that is structured, repeatable, or predictable will be automated, will be old work. Elvis has left the building. You will not wash your own washing when you've got a washing machine. This stuff is going. New work, so the work of the future, the great paradox of all this technology, is actually we are going to become a much more human society because we're going to need to, because if we don't, we have no purpose. We're as useful as a horse once you have a car, and horses essentially died out. New work is what humans do. New work is design, imagination, abstract and critical thinking, social intelligence, the ability to do this, judgment. Judgment is incredibly important. Machines cannot judge. Humans judge, humans ask questions, machines make the answer. This is the work that people are going to be doing in the future. So an office that is designed around old work, which is an awful lot of them, structured, repeatable, predictable work, is or shortly will be obsolete. The future office has to be designed to catalyze human skills. It has to be designed for new work. We are now 59 years actually later than this. This is Jack Lemmon's shot from Jack Lemmon's wonderful film, The Apartment, and this was his office. We have left the world of office as spreadsheet. Office as spreadsheet, every one of those desks is a cell in a spreadsheet where someone is doing something structured, repeatable, predictable. That's what offices were for, that's what they were designed for. That world has gone. Because fundamentally, the real estate industry is no longer about real estate. Asterisk there. The asterisk there because, of course, it's still about real estate. Everything you need, everything you know, all your capabilities you have today are still just as useful as ever. But they are necessary, but no longer sufficient for the complete needs of the industry. Because we are moving to a space-as-a-service world, which I started waffling away on about in 2013. We are moving from a world where ownership doesn't matter as long as we have access to things. We're less bothered about accumulating more stuff as long as we have a service. So you have Netflix for movies, Spotify for music, Airbnb, blah, 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 blah. And the one on the bottom right is Lime, which is the little scooters, which is the fastest growing consumer technology of all time. Google did a report, Workplace 2020 in 2015. And quite presciently, they said that flexible working will be the defining characteristic of the future workplace. Didn't look very true in 2015, but my word, it was true. This is from Ming Tiandi, which is a Hong Kong-based research site. From last year, 56% of Asia's top 200 occupiers are already using flexible workspaces in some capacity, and 91% are considering using them. It's a takeover. Because there's a category error within real estate. We're all thinking about the wrong thing. We're like the people who make drills thinking someone wants a drill. They don't want a drill, they want a hole in the wall. We sell offices. Our customers don't want an office. They want a productive workforce. They are not interested in offices. We think they are because that's what we've got to sell. But the real job to be done is to enable our customers to have a productive workforce. If you think about an office, that's a real estate issue. A productive workforce is about what the future real estate is about. So yes, you still need all your real estate expertise, but you also need Internet of Things skills. You need data scientists. You need workplace designers. You need hospitality capabilities, and you need to integrate with HR so you understand feedback loops and stuff. To create a productive workforce, you have to create and curate a user experience. And that's what the industry is about. Because fundamentally, our customers want all of these. They don't want bricks and mortar, steel and glass. This fundamentally changes things. Because in the past, the user experience of space didn't really matter. So the people who looked after the building didn't really matter. All that mattered was the capital and you own the building. But when the user experience of a building matters, who creates it really matters. So sometime down the road, we're going to have a situation where the user experience of your buildings will equal your brand, and it will be what defines you. What do I get if I go to XYZ company's office? I get this user experience. And that brand will be where the value is. Now, in investment terms, how do you value that? How do you value the capability of a customer moving into this building and being more productive as opposed to four walls? Because in the same way as we've passed the world of office as spreadsheet, valuation by spreadsheet is at an end as well. It is not going to be possible to just value a building based on numbers. The operator matters. Other asset classes. Tech matters across every asset class. So if you look at retail, retail is maybe 5 years beyond offices and is essentially a disaster area, isn't it? And all the retail industry is whining away, moaning, oh, it's all gone wrong, apocalypse and all that. People have been telling the retail real estate industry that this is coming for 10 years, and they haven't adapted. They are adapting now, and to be fair to them, they've adapted more over the last couple of years. But essentially, they sat on their bottoms for a long time. I remember having an argument with a young surveyor who was adamant that no one would ever buy clothing online. You wouldn't buy clothing online? Don't be ridiculous. You've got to try it on. Clothing is the biggest thing sold online. So retail has completely changed. Retail now has 5 purposes. If you're not one of these, you've got a problem. First of all, you have to be a destination. So you have to be somewhere interesting, exciting, stimulating enough to get me off my sofa and sitting there with one tap. Uncle Jeff will bring me what I want and bring it to tomorrow. And I can have anything in the world, from anywhere in the world. One tap, Uncle Jeff, tomorrow. So you've got to be exciting enough to stop me doing that. Or you've got to be a fulfillment center. This is going to be incredibly important, and there's a huge opportunity in real estate to be part of the network of spaces that allows very, very quick delivery and allows you to get your goods to your customer very quickly. Or you need to be tuned to local particularities. This is where the data comes in. You really need to understand your local environments at an incredibly granular level and know what they want is they want the pink thing. So you don't put the red thing there, you put the pink thing there because that's what you know enough about your locality that you stock and optimize your selection to suit. Or you be cheap and for everyday purposes that are too cheap to ship, or simply things that I need every day. But whatever you do, you have to be very, very data rich. Retail is detail, but the retail industry, largely concentrated on the detail of their products, didn't concentrate on the detail and the data of their customers enough. There's going to be a lot less retail, but the retail that exists is going to be better, is going to earn a lot more money, but guaranteed there's a ton of obsolescence in retail to come. Because the new reality of retail is, yes, there is a purpose for physical shops, but there are customer acquisition costs. Online retailers are going offline, not because they want to shop, because it's a cheaper way of acquiring a new customer than giving the money to Google or Facebook. If you want to know the future of retail, as this book says, read it, it's really good. Get a flight to Shanghai and wander around for a week. Because if you look at what Jack Ma is doing with Alibaba, he's talking for the last 3 or 4 years about new retail, which is a merger of commerce, digital, media, and logistics, everything working in a perpetual feedback loop to understand more and more about customers. Yes, there's a huge number of shops involved. Alibaba own a massive amount of real estate, but they ain't shops like we think of shops. They have a different purpose. The difficulty is this: where does real estate fit in? Because Alibaba owns all its own stuff. Walmart owns 10 times the warehouse space of any US REIT. Amazon owns all stuff. Where do we get in? Where are we any more than just builders of dumb boxes? Industrial. Industrial makes me laugh. In my early career, it was all about sheds. Do you remember the days of sheds? What do you do? Do you do office retail? Oh, no, I'll sell sheds. But industrial is now probably the most advanced, technically developed area of real estate because it's all about robots, because it's all about same-day delivery. It's all about last-mile logistics as a service, which is partly where you get to that idea of retail being part of the fulfillment. How do I get my goods to someone really, really quickly? Even the biggest REIT, so Segro, is the biggest, but they're actually very, very small. You're going to need a lot of real estate people to start working together, like the airlines do with One World and that sort of thing, building networks and ecosystems so they can solve a company's total products, not only with my own property, but here's Fred and Janet and whatever, they've got space, and we can look after everything. You've got to start thinking vertical. A lot of those obsolete offices are going to become urban farms. You've also got to think about the services within an industrial space. So you've got dark kitchens. Travis Kalanick, the Uber founder, is 400 million he's now raised doing dark kitchens. Cold storage, incredibly strong, profitable REIT in America. Americold, that's it. Only do cold storage, but they provide all the services. So you're now getting warehouses that come with robots as a service, or you get warehouse as a service. You get people who do micro-fulfillment centres for you. It's going to be a lot of repatriated manufacturing. A lot of stuff is going to come home, but it's going to be managed, it's going to be printed on demand, not stored. Again, where does real estate fit into all of this? Because most of the cool stuff happening in industrial is in the services within the dumb building. It's a challenge. Where does real estate fit in to be any more than just a commodity box? Residential, I think, is the converse of the office market. I think the office market is going from being valued like a bond to being valued like a business. I think if we can ever really get professional, large-scale, institutional build-to-rent going, that's the new prime office, because you're going to know, you're going to be able to work out what the returns are on a large-scale, institutionally, professionally managed space. Co-living, community, mixed use, work, rest and play, all these things are starting to merge. But essentially, in tech terms, is there any area of residential that tech cannot improve? The answer is no. But what is residential? This is where it gets really interesting, and this is where mindsets have to change, and this is the challenge to establish industry. People are thinking of new business models. In software, there's a joke, so how do you make money in software? Bundling and unbundling. You either put lots of things together and sell it as a package, or you pull the best bits out of a package and sell that. So you have all these people. I haven't got time to go through them. Doing different types of things. Selena, by the way, is that high-end nomad spaces around the world, which is one of the places where Adam Newman is putting his 1.7 billion, which he got for destroying more value than everyone has ever done in the world. So he is the smartest man that's ever walked the planet. Largest co-living spaces, we're now up to 43 stories, 422 rooms. Medici Living and Star City are specifically designed for singles. But Kin and Common, different brands, are designed for families. Residential is not just 1 bed, 2 bed, 3 bed. It's what's the user case? What do they want? What is the job to be done? A family is different to 4 young blokes, it's different to 4 young girls, it's different to an old couple. People are building different types of products to suit different demographics, social graphics. So residential, the big thrill in residential is a change. Overall, in terms of your portfolio, the new KPIs are connectivity. So physical, that's your location. Digital connectivity, without great digital connectivity, your building's worthless. But intellectual, more and more of the modern world is actually going to be powered by brain power. The closer you are to lots of people with brains, the better. University cities and the like are going to do as well as they've ever done, and are going to pull away even more. Modernity requires density. All these on-demand services really require dense spaces. Flexibility, I have no idea, as Jack said, what this building's going to be used for in 10 years' time, so build it so it's flexible. But build it so In a work context, it enables people to be productive. And in a retail context, it gives pleasure. Because retail property has no point unless it's giving the customers pleasure. And what's the point of an office if it doesn't enable people to be productive? Well-being and sustainability, I almost want to take off these slides because really they should be in 68 font at the top. Incredibly important, going to get more and more so. Huge amount of value in dealing with those. So to conclude, tech is changing the nature of demand. Supply will, because it has to follow. People criticize the real estate industry as being laggards. They always moan about, oh, they're so sleepy, dozy, they don't use any technology. Because they don't have to. Funny enough, there's an awful lot of very, very rich people in real estate doing dozy stuff. Well, it works. It won't change until the demand changes. And when the demand changes, real estate is very entrepreneurial. It will change on a dime, and it will use things that enables the industry to deal with supply. So tech is changing from real estate, is changing from being about selling a product to delivering a service. Your product is just a dumb box. The value is in the service. So investment can be passive, but only if you want low risk, low reward. Big prime buildings, long leases, good covenants are going to be like hen's teeth. But you'll never earn much money out of them, but they will be low risk, very low risk, and low reward. Investment by spreadsheet is dying because the asset matters, because the asset determines a lot about the user experience you can create. So the asset is really important. And then the last four things, essentially, real estate is moving from a bond to being valued from a bond to a business. It's not rent, it's income. What is the total income I can generate from this space? And what we have learned from all the last few years of the flex operators is you can generate a great deal more money out of a space than on a traditional lease. The question is, who gets it? So you can generate a lot more money, but that has costs. So the operator matters. And who's going to get that value is really up in the air at the moment. Some landlords will do it themselves. A lot of people will partner. A lot of people will just offload it and phone whoever the new version of Adam Newman is and say, take my building, or some other brand. But all that operator income is going elsewhere if you're not careful. I think the property management industry has a huge opportunity, but I think they will not take it. There's a huge opportunity to be the creator and curator of this user space. Who's going to do that? Because who does that is going to get the money. There's also a big opportunity for operators to actually displace landlords. Landlords are in a slightly precarious position. So what's the point of the money, giving a landlord the money, and then the landlord just outsources the building to an operator? You're going to go find more and more of the money, sidestepping the landlord and going straight with the operator. The money and operators are going to come together. Now, all of that is going to cause a huge amount of change, but fundamentally, real estate is still a fantastic place to invest in. Why? Because there's a huge amount of money out there earning nothing. And there's not many places you can put a huge amount of money. A lot of the most valuable companies in the world are tech companies, and they don't actually use much money. How much money does Facebook need? Bugger all. Buildings need a lot of money. There's a lot of money out there. So the industry is going to be incredibly solid, but it is going to operate in a different way. Thank you, and I've gone over. Sorry.